I think Emmy's a little bit behind, which makes sense with the time zones. That's not how that works.
Welcome to Wow of True, the podcast of your wildest memes.
We're your one-stop internet culture shop, here to dissect what's going viral, why we care, and how this might affect our real human lives. I'm your boat experiencer, Isabel, because when this is coming out, I will be on a boat.
Wow, how is the boat going? Like, in the future?
You know, it's going pretty well. I'm manifesting that into existence.
Yeah, well, I'm Amanda. Anyone can be famous on the internet, so why not us? I have to say on the boat point that I am starting a D&D campaign soon that takes place on a pirate ship. I am playing a warlock named Wolf Kaminsky because Wolf Kaminsky Dental Associates is my dentist, and we decided that would be a good D&D name.
I feel like you're giving your dentist like free advertising right now, and I think they should be paying us for it.
They're a good dentist. I feel like it's really hard to find a good dentist. If you're in the Philadelphia area, check them out. This leads into the theme of the episode, which is that we have a medical professional here with us who is not a dentist and does not work at Wolf Kaminsky Dental Associates.
You can't say that and be like it leads into it. Anyway, today on the podcast, we have a Dr. Emily Templewood, who you might know from, I believe, episode 2, who is here not to
Episode 4.
It's episode 4? Fuck, I don't know. We've made a million of these.
And now this is episode 44, so it's like full circle.
Oh shit.
Wow.
That wasn't even a plan. But okay, Emily is a family medicine resident doctor in Park Ridge, Illinois. Yeah.
Hi, I am a real human doctor, which means that I do everything about humans except for the teeth parts, because those are a separate kind of doctor.
And we covered that this episode by talking about Wolf Kaminsky, so we're good.
There we go.
Yeah, Wolf Kaminsky, the warlock in my D&D campaign.
Jokes, leaving the building, etc. for a moment. Nothing, unless I preface it with, this is medical advice, is medical advice. I am a doctor. I am not your doctor, unless my patients are listening to this, in which case, please don't tell me about it, because that's weird.
I would love if my doctor was on a podcast, I'd be like, wow.
It's like, wow, my doctor's a podcaster? This is nothing. I need to leave immediately. This is how I feel about if people who are my clients would ever find out that I have a podcast. Like, I worry about that. Not a lot, but I'm like, ooh, I would not want my lawyer to be a podcaster. Anyway.
I do have a doctor who's on TikTok.
Well, now we have to talk about that.
That's different. We have to talk about that, but that's different. Like, I feel like my Twitter is like half me. Well, today I was arguing with John Darnielle of the Mountain Goats about what is up with Ohio, and like talking about medical studies.
I feel like that's really your brand, is half Mountain Goats, half medical studies.
Correct.
Yeah, so no medical advice from Emily.
I will give some medical advice. Here's some free medical advice. See your doctor when you're supposed to, and get your age-indicated vaccines and cancer screenings. Please. Also take your medicine, brush your teeth, call your mom.
Wow, can't believe call your mom is medical advice.
Did I hear someone talk about teeth here?
Sorry, Emily, you're not allowed to talk about teeth. You don't have medical...
Yeah, you don't have authority over those bones.
You were going to say I don't have teeth.
Yeah, the only doctors that have teeth are dentists. Yeah, so we're gonna get more into medical stuff later, but first, couple things in the news to talk about. So,
am I allowed to weigh in on these? Because I just say weird shit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Only if they don't have to do with teeth.
No teeth commentary. Actually, when Emmy was last on the pod, 40 episodes ago, it was early 2021, and we were talking about how The Great Gatsby was going into public domain, which we still haven't really seen many interesting Gatsby public domain interpretations, TBH.
Oh, I mean, there was that one book that came out, I think, where, like, what's her face? The one who plays golf is, like...
Daisy?
No, the other one. The one who's her friend who Nick dates, whose name I'm forgetting. Not Gatsby.
Clearly this has... No, Nick is dating Gatsby.
I mean, that's my fanfic. You know, like, I think Nick and Gatsby should kiss.
It's Jordan, Isabel. It's Jordan.
Well, I don't expect me to remember things. You know I don't remember things. But no, there was a book where Jordan is an adopted Asian woman, and it's apparently, like, a whole situation. Apparently it's, like, a good book. but I'm forgetting the name,
Interesting.
so we can either include that in post, but I have seen people talking about it on Twitter. Anyway, that was nothing. Tell me about what you were going to tell me about.
So, another thing people are talking about on Twitter is that this year Winnie the Pooh entered the public domain, as we discussed when we theorized about what a Winnie the Pooh, The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway crossover would look like, because they both went into public domain this year. But now there is a Winnie the Pooh slasher film coming out. And so even though Winnie the Pooh is...
what?
Yeah, did you not see this?
No.
You gotta click the link in the notes.
Winnie the Pooh slasher film. Oh my god!
I think first we just need to, like, paint a word picture of, like, Emily, what are you looking at right now? What are you seeing?
So I just went on my friendly neighborhood search engine, DuckDuckGo, with safe search off, because I like to live dangerously, and also I'm Googling medical stuff all the time, which leads to some, censorship. And I got the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Honestly, sounds like a Ruby Kaur book.
It's kind of a good name. I kind of like it.
Looks like Yellow Shrek.
Yeah.
And he's really wet, which I don't like.
Don't describe him like that. It sucks.
There's also a still of what appears to be a guy in a pig mask, which I assume is playing Piglet, about to murder a human woman in a hot tub, like that scene from John Wick, which I only watched in the background while my husband was watching it while I was, like, doing work or something. And that's really all I remember, is that some lady got murdered in a bathtub, but that's what this appears to be. And now I'm clicking on this thing that is just a bunch of stills from Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, which I've also, speaking of weird shit I've been into lately, is I've been listening to a bunch of goth music.
Good.
Because of the twin influences of my dad and listening to an album about goths and annotating it and, like, who the fuck were the Sisters of Mercy, and then listening to a bunch of, like, goth music from the 80s. And holy shit!
Yeah.
No! What the fuck?
What did you see?
Would you like to describe for us what you're seeing?
Yeah, okay. Here's a still from this. Oh my god. There is a white woman with lipstick and wearing a bikini, and maybe she's asleep, but she's definitely about to get murdered in a hot tub. She has a glass of wine that is precariously close to the edge, which I do not like. And behind her are the shadows of presumably Piglet, which is just a dude in a pig mask with with tusks. And then looming behind this person is a wet and sadistic looking Winnie the Pooh.
I love that you have to clarify that he looks wet, because I hate it every time you describe it like that, but you're right.
Yeah.
But he looks wet, and he looks like Shrek, and it's not a good look. I need to watch it immediately.
Yeah, this is directed by this guy named Reese Waterfield, who has a very long IMDb, but with, like, only films that I've never heard of but sound vaguely in the vein of Blood and Honey, like Jurassic Theme Park, Spiders on a Plane, Return of Krampus, Rise of the Loch Ness,
How have you not heard of Spiders on a Plane? Oh, wait, no, I was thinking of Snakes on a Plane. Yeah, fuck. Does this guy just do, like, weird things?
Just do snakes on a plane, but with spiders? Because that's amazing. Hold on, we need to find out.
While you're finding out, apparently the premise of this is that Christopher Robin goes to college, and thus Piglet and Pooh don't have food anymore, so they go on a rampage. Here's a quote from our buddy Reese Waterfield. Because they've had to fend for themselves so much, they've essentially become feral. So they've gone back to their animal roots. They're no longer tame. They're like a vicious bear and a pig who want to go around and try and find prey.
Wait, I have a question about this. How does being feral have to do with wearing pants?
I mean, probably just because it's like a human, and maybe if he wasn't wearing pants, that would be difficult.
I'm just saying, it's more feral for him to have taken his shirt off. Anyway, I actually hate this because I actually really like Winnie the Pooh, so this fucking sucks to me.
I think it would be really funny if this version of Winnie the Pooh was wearing pants but not a shirt.
That would be extremely funny.
But then they would have to spray paint him, like, yellow. Also, Spiders on a Plane, there's, like, no information about it.
Yeah, I think it's in post-production, if I remember from when I went on the IMDb, like, yesterday.
Well, like, penciling that in for a film review later.
I will totally come back for a third episode if I get to talk about Spiders on a Plane.
Hell yeah.
2 years from now.
We gotta circle back with this guy.
And also, the Velocipaster.
Oh, I have heard of the Velocipaster.
Wow.
It's so bad. In the best way.
Who is this guy, and what is he doing?
Well, he's doing this, clearly. He's clearly doing this.
I can't tell whether he's girl bossing appreciative or girl bossing derogatory.
I'm saying girl bossing derogatory because I don't think this needed to exist, but it's very funny that it does
I
exist.
say girl boss appreciative because I think this is fucking hysterical.
I don't like it, but I think
Two
it's
types
funny.
of people.
Yeah, you know, the duality of man, it's fine. We can have different opinions.
What's also interesting for Isabel, this is not legal advice, Kim over here
I love that you always like spring like random legal things on me without telling me about it, because it's like very much like, so Isabel, can you so it's like, let's talk about SPACs, and I'm like, hold on, I did not know we were talking about SPACs today.
Not to put you on blast, but you could have looked at the script of the episode that I put many things in yesterday, and your only feedback that you gave me is, Amanda, we can't talk about Glee, because I wanted to talk about Glee, because there's a Twitter thread going viral.
And now you're
with all of
talking
the
about
most
Glee, so like, you know
I know,
what?
this is what I do. This is my revenge.
You're already making me talk about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and you also have to talk about Glee. I am being fucking oppressed on this podcast.
So is Emily. We, like, brought her back for this.
I want to put a call-out post out there for my mom, who did like Glee, like at least temporarily.
Oh, was that the call-out?
Was there more? Was that it?
Liked Glee at one point.
Oh, no, I mean, I was in Glee fandom because I was part of the A Very Potter Musical to Glee pipeline, which if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But, so the legal thing I wanted to talk about was that in the Variety article, it says that even though some of the stories are now in the public domain, but Disney still has the right to their interpretation. So, like, they own the right not necessarily to Winnie the Pooh, but to, like, yellow bear with red shirt who likes honey.
That's technically correct. That's sort of correct. That's correct enough for this.
Yeah. They had to, like, change some of the characters to make sure that they weren't gonna get sued by Disney, who Disney loves to sue people. They, like Club Penguin.
Disney will sue them because this is like a losing argument, but they also just might not sue because it looks bad to sue. I actually think here, something that they haven't mentioned is that this is like clearly parody. So I think they would be fine either way, but it would probably get to the lawsuit stage, which nobody loves.
It'll be fun to keep an eye on that, though, for us. But again, quoting this Variety article, Waterfield's Pooh Bear has swapped the little red t-shirt for a lumberjack suit, and Piglet is clad in black. It's also, like, referring to the copyright issues, it's also why other characters are still in copyright, such as Tigger, will not appear, although there is a scene featuring Eeyore's tombstone, the miserable donkey having been eaten by a starving Pooh and Piglet. Pooh and Piglet ate Eeyore.
I wonder what, like, their legal counsel was like, yeah, you can't have Eeyore in it, but you can have Eeyore dead. That's okay.
Yeah, so any closing thoughts on this monstrosity? Are we excited for it? Do we think it's a monstrosity? Go.
Yes and yes.
I don't love it because I'm not like a huge horror movie person, and I actually I really like Winnie the Pooh, just in I like Winnie the Pooh in the way that you like things in a regular way. Does that make sense? Many things I like in an irregular way, but this one I like just in a regular way. But I am curious about where the legal stuff is going, and I do like that, Amanda, you spent like this entire time trying to give us a news briefing while me and Emmy just went off the shits.
Yeah, that is an Emmy show. Is we just kind of go off the shits.
So I'm sorry,
we are
Amanda.
two young professionals.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to compensate because I don't have a job where I have to say this is not blank advice. So,
I mean, you could just make that choice.
This is not medical advice. So, I also wanted to talk about Halsey, who Halsey posted a TikTok last week saying that their record label won't let them release their new song until it goes viral. So then Halsey made like a very emo TikTok being like, I'm so upset with the music industry. I've sold 165 million albums, and yet they won't let me just release my single. They have to make it go viral on TikTok first, which anyone who's been a social media manager or a person who uses the internet ever knows that you can't simply make something go viral. Like, there's an aspect of luck that goes into it, which is why we haven't gone viral yet, but it's fine.
We also just haven't gone viral because we don't post. We need to post more on like just things that are not. We need to start using our TikTok is what I'm saying. We're not going to do that, but we should.
I mean, this has been on you for like the past year.
You know, I'm not
I feel like I'm getting really This is like one of those episodes where you can tell that the hosts are like mad at each other, but I'm not mad at you.
You're being like real mean to me today. This is a real role reversal. Is this because I'm on a boat? Are you mad that I'm going to be on a boat?
I am. I'm just mad because I've been waiting like a full year for you to do a TikTok with a sword. That, like, where you're, like, in business suit doing sword tricks on TikTok on your roof. And then you moved out of that apartment that had the roof.
Yeah, I don't have a roof anymore. I could do it by the pool here.
What the fuck do you mean your apartment doesn't have a goddamn roof?
It has a roof. It doesn't have a roof I can get to.
You can get to it. You just don't know how.
Okay, you know
True.
what? Fair enough. Well, now I need to find out how to get to the roof. Oh, but I did put up the swords in my apartment, so they are hanging on my wall now.
So I wanted to talk about this Halsey video because then that TikTok went viral and got 1.2 million likes and 9 million views.
Does that count?
I don't know. I mean,
I hope it counts, for Halsey's sake.
I don't see a Halsey single out, so I don't know. But then there's this trend starting where creatives on TikTok who are, like, not big are kind of as a joke being like, ugh, my manager won't let me release my new line of custom soaps on Etsy until my TikTok goes viral. And then that's like a trend. So I just kind of think it's interesting that there's this meta trend of like manufactured virality, and it's just getting very, very meta in a way that I don't know what to do with.
My co-host won't let me release our podcast until I make a TikTok about swords.
Exactly. That's all we need to say about this. And then you wanted to talk about Morbius, which I don't... Is that a movie?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
I love that this is like...
Unfortunately.
I do love that the concept of this episode was like, oh yeah, we'll have Emmy on because Emmy is very online and also a doctor. Well, this is the very online part of it, and the next part will be the doctor part of it. Yeah, I just wrote down here, why are we morbing? Because, and this is a genuine question for both of you, because have your friends started morbing? Because I feel like every social group I'm in has simultaneously started making Morbius memes. They're really bad, but they really make me laugh.
I literally, like, I mean, judging by the fact that I was like, this is a movie, right? I don't know what Morbius is. Like, I don't know.
It's a shitty movie.
It came out 2 months ago. It completely flopped. It's about vampires.
Jared Leto doing whatever his stupid thing is that he does.
I'm texting 2 group chats to see if they know what morbing is.
Well, so here's the thing. It's like, so nobody is actually watching Morbius. They're just shitposting about it.
Wasn't that why it was a meme? Because wasn't it a meme before that, like, literally nobody went to see this movie?
Yeah, so here, the actual meme here, the joke is that you can say anything about Morbius because nobody has seen Morbius. So what, so the real bit, right, that people have been saying is that it's morbin time. Like, you know, it's like from Power Rangers, it's morphin time.
So there's also a Victorian, like, slang that's like, you've got the morbs.
Yeah, you've got the morbs.
Which means, like, like, morbid.
But really here now it means that, you know, you're on your Morbius grind. 24/7 morbing.
I need to add one more disclaimer.
Yes.
Nothing I say reflects on my institution or my employer or my poor program director who has to deal with me and what I bring to the table on a daily basis.
Moving on to why do we have an extremely online doctor here? So when Emily is not, as she discussed on our last episode, like being a badass on Wikipedia and for some reason getting harassed on Wikipedia because people are mad that she's writing articles about women scientists or whatever, in real life she's a doctor. And I don't know about you guys, but I have had experiences when I have tried to describe myself to my therapist as somebody with main character energy, which is especially true because today I'm pretty sure that I won a write-in election with 1 vote. So if that's not main character energy, I don't know what is.
It was not by 1 vote. There was 1 vote.
And it was from you.
Yes,
you voted for yourself, and you got
exactly.
it.
That's the best part.
I mean, that's the thing is, like, I mean, I saw this, like, open spot, and I was like, I know people that have gotten these, like, micro-local positions with 1 vote for writing themselves in, and I was like, why not? And then everyone else who got written in is, like, somebody active in the, like, Philly activist scene who does not live in my ward/district. So I won by default for being an asshole.
I do feel like this says something about the state of our democracy, but it's fine. I'm glad that you got it.
But I mean, the thing is, like, I can be a puppet for the progressive Philly activist groups. Like, I don't care. Like, they can tell me who to vote for, and I'll be like, sure. That, I don't know. I mean, I'm willing to just kind of...
No, I think you'll do a good job, and I'm glad that you got it. It's just extremely funny that you got it with a single vote from yourself.
Yeah.
Can we just say, like, noted politician in Philadelphia, Amanda Silberling?
I will say it's not official yet, but I did just get a text from, like literally this morning, I got a text from this, like, actual organizer who, like, is very, like, their job is, like, organizing in Philly, and they were like, which that used to be my job, but it's no longer my job, thank God. But he was just like, hey, you're the only one on this list that actually lives in the district, except for this guy Shane. And I was like, who's this Shane guy? And then I Googled him, and he's a researcher who studies, like, alt-right memes and how memes, like, influence political consciousness. And I was like, all right, this guy's cool. But then I messaged him, and he said that he's moving...
You messaged Shane?
Yeah, I mean, I found him on Twitter. He has, like, 10,000 followers on Twitter, and I was just like, hey, dude, what's up?
God.
Like, his DMs were open, and I was just like, hey, I think we're tied for first in this political election, each with one vote. And he was like, oh, well, I'm moving soon, so you should probably do it. And I was like, okay. So, I don't know.
Can we get Shane on the pod?
Honestly, probably. Like, we should. He seems like somebody that, he has a podcast, according to his Twitter.
I think we should ask Shane to come on our pod, and we should go on Shane's pod. I think that would be fun.
We should. Yeah, really fucked up for this ward/division that your two top candidates for committee person. Yeah, both podcasters specifically who, like, have an academic interest in memes.
The state of our democracy. Okay, whatever, let's talk about medical stuff.
Yeah, so, so basically what I was gonna say is I've described myself as main character energy to my therapist, and she's like, what's that? And also my therapist doesn't know who Lana Del Rey is, which just separately shocked me. But anyway, so it's rare to find a doctor who is also extremely online, but that's what Emmy is here for. And we asked some listeners for their strange medical questions that aren't actually high-stakes medical questions, because again, this is not medical advice and does not reflect Emily's employer. Heads up that if we do get into yucky territory, we will put in timestamps in the episode description of, like, hey.
It's not an if, it's a when.
I feel like our question... Yeah, no, I was looking at our questions, I was like, we are going to get into the yucky stuff. We'll put timestamps in, and by we, probably Allison will do this, and I'm sorry, Allison. But also, as an apology, we're going to start with Allison's question.
Last time we talked about how I threw a placenta, so, like, that's where we're starting
So everyone
from.
should go listen to episode 4 where Emmy talks about that. But, okay, apology for Allison. Let's talk about collagen gummies. Do they do anything?
So... Okay, do you guys know what collagen is?
Yes, but explain it to us for the podcast.
It's supposed to, like, make your hair and your skin good.
Kind of, yeah. So collagen is like the protein in your body, right? So it's like a quarter of your protein in your entire body. It's like you are mostly collagen. That's not true. You're mostly bacteria and water. But
I didn't need to know that, but thank you.
You're welcome. So, it, like, makes up bone and tendon and cartilage and, like, kind of all the structural stuff. And collagen, when you cook it down, becomes gelatin. So, like, for example, this is medical advice. If you want to make good chicken broth, use chicken wings and feet, because the feet have a shit ton of collagen in it. So it makes a really nice, like, gelatinous, unctuous broth. I'm gonna just keep saying that this is medical advice about, like, non-medical things as a bit.
That's good. That's a good bit.
Amazing. Okay, it's a goof. Not medical advice, but it's medical advice.
It's a goof. It's a goof. So there is a lot of use of collagen in medicine. So, for example, it's used to, like, reconstruct certain tissues. It's used to, like, fill in, like, when somebody has a significant injury, or if they're just, like, cosmetically into it. There's things that we know collagen does, and we use it for those things regularly, like as a dermal filler, and then as part of, like, bone grafts and shit. But the collagen gummies, or the oral form of collagen, fall into what are called, like, nutraceuticals.
What does that mean?
So they're, like, things that people make a health claim about that are not quite drugs and not quite nutritional supplements. And collagen is purported to have a whole bunch of beneficial side effects, like eating collagen. And I will note that the collagen in these gummies is usually hydrolyzed, which is, like, broken down into proteins and stuff. I think because collagen is so abundant in skin, it's said that it's, like, good for your skin, it's good for your hair, yada, yada, yada. So when I was researching for this, I found a couple of meta-analyses that looked at a bunch of studies of using collagen in different like newer applications related to the skin. Collagen in bandages is used for like ulcers and shit, and it's very good for that. It does make a really like gushy bandage though, which is like not great.
Yeah. Everything you've been saying about collagen makes it seem very goo heavy, just in general.
Yeah.
It's gushy, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of things I'm going to be talking about today are gushy.
Great.
So the one like solid meta-analysis I found that there was like some evidence of improved like skin healing and elasticity with like large doses of oral collagen, but like it won't hurt because it's just like
It's just protein, right? Like it's just like,
You know,
yeah, like go eat some chicken feet, same kind of deal.
so go get dim sum is what I'm hearing here.
yeah.
Go get dim sum. It probably won't hurt.
This is medical advice.
Yeah. This is medical advice. Go eat dim sum. It's tasty. The jury's out. There's some interesting research on how it may promote skin healing, but like right now it's
So remember when they did surgery on a grape?
I do remember when they did surgery on a grape. That's a very good meme.
Why and how?
So, first of all, they did surgery on a grape is actually from a hospital down the street from me.
Wait, really?
Oh, amazing. Yes.
From Edwards Hospital in Naperville, Illinois.
Like, do you know what the people think about it?
Like of the meme.
I mean, I've heard people who now work there making the meme.
So positive is what I'm hearing.
We gotta get them on the pod and be like, so, how did you do surgery on a grape?
So, okay, it's actually, I think it's interesting. So they didn't actually do surgery on the grape.
No!
Devastating.
They just peeled the grape, which is only half of the surgery part. Because typically when you're doing surgery on a human, you have to peel them and then, like, put it back.
Wait, so if you only do the peeling part, is that just dismembering a guy? Is that just cutting a guy open and that doesn't count as surgery? Like, genuine question here. Like, does it get called something?
Okay, well, it's usually called debraidment.
Okay.
When you're, like, cutting stuff out and not putting something over.
Got it,
So,
okay.
like, if you have, like, a really bad infection or something and you're, like, scraping out the gushy infection parts.
Goo count, too.
So what they were doing surgery on a grape with was something called the Da Vinci, which is a surgical robot. And it's not a robot that does surgery. It's a robot that surgeons use to do surgery.
What is the difference between those two things?
So a robot doing surgery would be like, this is my surgeon bot 3000.
Okay.
And it's like a fucking Terminator with a saw on it. The Da Vinci is like VR surgery.
Okay.
It's like Oculus
Whoa.
Rift for surgeons. So you like get in this, it looks like a big arcade kind of guy, and they like control the arms of the robot like from this console that's like super high tech. So it enables them to do like big surgery through little incisions and like be more precise and like do less harm basically. So like if you cut somebody open, for example, if you're doing an appendectomy or something, there's like different degrees of invasiveness. So there's like open, which is where you get like a 6-inch long incision in your, not 6 inches, 6 centimeter long incision in your belly, and they like fish the thing out and whatever. And then there's laparoscopic, which is like traditional 4-port, blow up the belly with carbon dioxide, and you have a camera and you have your little tools, but you're all standing around, like you're touching the person, right? With your little grabby, there's like little grabbers on sticks and stuff, and probably a scared med student driving the camera. Not that that has any bearing on my personal experience.
Okay.
But the robotic, the surgeon is like not physically there, like touching the patient. They're sitting across the room at a console. So
That's wild.
They're super precise, and they enable like really fine movements and really like delicate things. So what they were doing with this surgery on a grape was showing that the Da Vinci could like do these really delicate things without damaging the grape.
So it was like a demonstration thing.
Yeah, it was a demo of how the robot works.
That's all super
But they
reasonable.
did surgery on a grape.
They did do surgery on a grape, but it was reasonable. And like we train on fruit all the time.
Have you ever done surgery on a grape?
I have not done surgery on a grape. I've done, and this is all fake surgery, I've done a lot of fake surgery on a lot of oranges.
Why oranges?
Because you can, gross warning, to practice draining abscesses, they would like take an orange and like inject a bunch of toothpaste in it to make pus.
Gross. Okay, that's funny.
Which is pretty accurate. Everybody learns to do abortions on a papaya.
Okay.
Because it's uterus shaped and filled with seeds. So if you cut a hole, like at the very bottom, you can pass a suction cannula through and like practice making sure you're like fully emptying a uterus or whatever. So that's a thing. And then you get to eat the papaya when you're done, which is tasty.
Wait, I love that you get to eat the fruit after. That's so funny.
Well, you don't always get to eat the fruit after. You don't eat the toothpaste oranges because those are gross.
That does sound gross.
If you're a real freak who likes orange juice and toothpaste, can you eat it?
Yeah, nobody. But I will eat the papayas. Sometimes bananas for stitching, tomatoes for skin biopsies. The day we were doing like a skin biopsy workshop that I got roped into teaching, and I did just like eat all the tomatoes when we were done.
Pause. How do you feel about just eating a whole tomato? Because my friends are very divided on this, and I think it's fine to just eat a whole tomato as like a piece of fruit. And some of my friends are like,
Yeah.
Isabel, you're a freak.
No, you eat it like a piece of fruit, and sometimes you like take a bite and you sprinkle a little salt and pepper on it. Perfect.
So
Good
true,
snack.
bestie.
I think it's okay to eat like really good farmer's market cherry tomatoes as a snack, but I think eating like a plump tomato is fine, but I don't love it, but I think you're valid.
As long as we're valid. Speaking of stuff you shouldn't eat. So how did public health officials deal with the Tide Pod craze? Did anyone actually eat a Tide Pod that you know of? Or was it just like a meme?
So it was slightly before I was actually a doctor. So, okay, there's a couple of reasons that people eat non-food objects, and I would divide them into 3 categories. Mental illness related, which is like a whole different category. For the meme, which is this category, and iron deficiency.
Okay.
So the iron deficiency one is well known and common, like if you crunch ice or if you crave eating dirt, which is especially common for pregnant people, you probably have an iron deficiency and like you should go see your doctor about that, because something about not having enough iron makes you like crave certain things. Which is why pregnant people from certain cultures are like known to eat dirt because it's rich in minerals and shit. This is medical advice. Don't eat dirt. Just don't eat non-food objects. So the Tide Pod thing, I'm assuming almost all of these fall into the like for the meme. So there are people who did do it. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. So I found some of them are just like kids are dumb. Like babies are dumb and they will just put stuff in their mouth because they're exploring the world. I say dumb like affectionate. Like, they have not learned enough about the world to know, like, don't eat that thing. So a lot of them are cases of, like, little kids getting into laundry pods and just eating them because they just put everything in their mouths. Right. But, for example, I found a case series that was 4 kids who, 3 of them actually, like, needed to be put on a ventilator.
Holy shit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and we're in the hospital for, like, a week, because one of them like breathed it in and it was not great. And I found a paper from 2021 that basically 38 children from 2014 to 2019 who were admitted due to laundry pod ingestion.
Yikes. Ranging
from 11 months to 9 years. So I think most of them were accidental, because most of them are under 5. Don't eat laundry pods. They're also super concentrated, so I think part of the problem is that they would cause like chemical burns. So I don't think a lot of people actually did it who like understood what they were doing, insofar as like kids understand what they're doing, because when you pop them, they're like, there's a lot of surfactant and a lot of stuff in there. There's like case reports of kids burning their eyeballs.
Yikes.
By trying to eat laundry pods. So mostly kids doing it because they put everything in their mouth. And this is medical advice. The Poison Control Center number, you should have it on your fridge. The Mr. Yuck. It's 1-888-222-1222. You can call them for anything. I have called them as an adult when I accidentally took a Benadryl and had a glass of wine with dinner, and I was very confused, and they were very nice to me. And yeah, keep your laundry pods out of reach of children.
That is good medical advice. Another question is, how does ibuprofen know what part of my body to go to?
Oh, I love talking about NSAIDs.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
So my guess would be, are certain pains in the brain and it goes to the brain, or no? So
you are hitting on a mechanism of action of how some painkillers work. It's just not ibuprofen.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, you're not totally off base.
Have not taken biology in like 10 years.
I have taken enough biology for, I think, an entire class of high schoolers or something. I've taken so many biology. So there's different things that cause pain, right? So pain is it's your body saying, hey, something is fucked up here. Please pay attention. And that pain can be generated from anything from something internal in your brain, like you are not dealing with this stress and now everything is going to hurt until you deal with it, or maybe you won't get to use your legs anymore until you deal with it, to things being like cut or burned. You have really sophisticated systems of nerves that transmit pain signals. And a lot of them are carried to the main sensory switchboard of the brain, the thalamus. And you can even like have a stroke there and then just be in like constant weird sensory hell.
That sucks.
It does suck. So there's things like gabapentin and morphine and other opiates that interact with the central experience of pain. So they like stop the transmission. I'm really, really simplifying things. Don't at me.
Again, as we stated, this isn't medical advice.
This isn't medical advice, and it's also, don't use this to like study for your test.
Okay, listen, if someone is trying to study for their test by listening to Wow If True, like, I'm sorry, we can't help you.
No, so I was gonna say, like, right on, brother.
Well, okay, I guess half the host can help you.
So, like, opiates will, like, block the mu-receptors, which are responsible for some pain experiences in your brain. There's also things like ketamine, which is a really powerful anesthetic that just, like, dissociates your body from your brain, so you don't feel anything, which is why we K-hole children who have, like, broken their arms or whatever.
I did not know that.
It's nice because it doesn't turn the person's need to breathe off.
Love to breathe.
Whereas, like, if you give somebody a bunch of morphine, they stop breathing. If you give somebody a bunch of ketamine, they don't necessarily do that. And if you administer it with other medications to prevent the psychiatric stuff, it's very good at anesthetizing people and keeping them calm. But there's a dose that's, like, the fun dose, the dissociative dose, the hallucinatory dose. There's an analgesic or pain relieving dose, and then there's the anesthetic dose, which is the knock you the hell out dose. Mm-hmm. So, but it's nice because it's often safer. Like, pediatric emergency doctors love it for like fixing a kid's broken arm or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's another type of pain medication. And then you have the anti-inflammatories, broadly construed. So there's Tylenol, which is kind of in its own category because you don't fully understand how it works.
Oh, I love that. It works. We don't know how it... I feel like that's...
Well, we know that it works, and we know that it has something to do with inflammation and COX-1 and COX-2 and prostaglandins, but that's really all we know. And then there's NSAIDs, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So they interact with a pathway called the arachidonic acid pathway. Stop me if I get like too into the weeds with this stuff, but there's chemicals responsible for inflammation called prostaglandins that are made from this little guy arachidonic acid by these enzymes called COX-1 and COX-2. Yes, they are called COX-1 and COX-2, and I find that really funny.
That is funny.
And the NSAIDs, so things like naproxen or Aleve, ibuprofen or Motrin, Celebrex or celecoxib, all of these are medications that block the production of prostaglandins. So if you are a human being who menstruates, you probably get the shits in and around your period.
I mean, I'm Jewish and I drink a lot of coffee, so there's really no difference.
Coffee does make you shit. Don't put it up your butt. That's medical advice.
I was gonna ask.
And I have not put coffee up my butt. I will say that.
So anyways, the prostaglandins are produced, but they're produced preferentially in the area that is being inflamed. So for example, if you are having period pains, it's because there's a shit ton of prostaglandin E1 and E2 mainly, being produced in your uterus, which incidentally also causes your uterus to contract and causes your smooth muscle to move faster, which means that stuff moves through your intestines faster, which means you get the shits. So when you take ibuprofen, it globally blocks that process, but there's just more of that process going on in the area that's inflamed, which is how it, like, quote unquote, knows where to go. Also, ibuprofen will stop the shits.
Okay.
Wow. I've been, like, giggling to myself for the last, like, 2 minutes because I have a really important follow-up question that I thought of when you were talking about morphine. So, yeah. As you might recall from the celebrated novel Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer.
Oh, Jesus. Uh-huh.
When Bella is giving birth to her half-vampire, half-human daughter, Renesmee, they're trying to, like, save her so that the baby doesn't kill her, because she is merely immortal at that point. And I believe they give her morphine to deal with the pain. What would have happened if they gave Bella ketamine instead of morphine when she was giving birth? Renesmee.
I mean, they, due to the, like, what I assume is a massive, like, catecholaminergic surge.
Also, can we just talk about like the medical what happened in Breaking Dawn? What's going on there?
If I recall correctly, I read Breaking Dawn once when I was in 8th grade, so
Same.
Twilight stands don't at me, but I'm pretty sure the baby, like, tries to rip itself out of her body. She starts hemorrhaging, and, like, everything just kind of goes haywire all at once.
I feel like we didn't get a lot of description because it was from Bella's point of view, and Bella was simply dealing with the situation at the time.
And also because Stephenie Meyer probably doesn't know what was going on because the world building is not that intense in Twilight. But also, I mean, I think something that we haven't mentioned for context is that, like, you specifically as a doctor are a baby deliverer. So you are the perfect person to ask this question.
I am not an obstetrician, but I am a family physician who practices obstetrics. So, like, as part of my thing, I deliver babies.
Deliver them to
the parents who made them, hopefully. Occasionally to a group of pediatricians. If the baby comes out like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
I hand the baby to some pediatricians, but usually to the parents.
Yeah.
Who then talk about how cute the baby is, even if it looks like a wet gremlin.
It's their wet gremlin.
It's their gremlin, and it's... The first time I saw a baby be born, I cried because it was beautiful. Like,
oh.
I'm a sap. It's the miracle of life. Anyways... So I think we have, like, 2.5 main problems to deal with Bella's traumatic, precipitous abdominal delivery of this demon child.
Vampire child, not demon, get it right.
Okay, sorry. Vampo baby. We have the problem of hemorrhage, we have the problem of pain, and we have the problem of, like, I guess... surrounding organ damage, because normally when you do a C-section you go in, like, real careful. Even in an emergency you still, like, know where you're going and you're careful, but if this baby is, like, coming out from the inside,
coming out of my cage,
coming out of my mom, and I've been doing just fine. What if she went sideways and, like, ripped through some of her intestines? Now Bella's fucking septic. I don't think what's his nuts has Levofed on hand to get her blood pressure up. So
do you think
that
Carlisle's
sucks.
a good doctor?
I don't know. I couldn't even remember his name, so I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with probably not.
I mean, he's had, like, many, many years of practicing, but he also probably...
He crucially is a vampire.
Yeah, he studied medicine in, like, probably, like, the 1800s. I feel like a lot has changed since then, but also he doesn't sleep, so I hope he spends his non-sleeping time, like, reading about, like, the way that people are practicing medicine in 2008 as opposed to, like, 1808.
Yo, I would be such a good doctor if I didn't have to sleep. Anyways, and this is why William Halstead was addicted to cocaine, because he had that thought and there was no restrictions on cocaine. He's the guy who invented surgery and also invented residency, and is the reason why I have to work 24 hours at a time. Yeah.
That is the ultimate, like, toxic workplace thing, is when your work schedule is based off of a person who was addicted to cocaine.
Correct.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyways, though, so I think we're in a good position because Carlisle has a bunch of blood, right? Like, doesn't he have a fridge full of blood?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for snacks.
For snacks. And I don't know how much of it, like, I'm assuming as a vampire, like, being responsible, he would have, like, typed and cross-matched Bella at some point. Or maybe he can smell blood types, which would make him a great, like, trauma surgeon.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Or he just has a bunch of oneg in the bank. As long as he could, like, get control of the bleeding quickly, which is not an easy thing to do sometimes. Like, the uterus gets, like, 20% of a term pregnant person's blood supply, so you can bleed out from your uterus very, very quickly. But there are things you can do, like, you can physically just, like, squish the uterus to stop it from bleeding.
Damn.
And morphine probably wouldn't do anything for her pain.
So are we chalking that one up to Carlisle being a bad doctor on account of being from ye old history books and a vampire?
Or he's giving her just an absolute shit whack of morphine, which would do the job, but would also probably stop her from breathing. And then he has another problem because he can't be like, well, I guess if he's a vampire, he probably could be like throwing a B-lynch in her ripped up uterus or doing an emergency hysterectomy while also intubating her, while also ventilating her, while also transfusing.
Well, he's a vampire, so he's super fast and super strong.
Right.
Yes.
So presumably presumably he's just doing the job of an anesthesiologist and 2 OB-GYN surgeons and the blood bank and the circulator. There's also the question of sterility, which I'm not even going to get into. Like, I just assume that she is just on IV antibiotics for the next God knows how long, because God knows what is growing in that belly. So ketamine would actually be the better anesthetic choice. And again, not an anesthesiologist, don't have training in anesthesiology, yada, yada, yada. But it would have the benefit of not suppressing her respiratory drive, while immediately, like, if you gave her 1 or 2 mg per keg, you would just, like, she would not be there anymore, and you could deal with the fallout when it wears off.
Damn, so they really should have given Bella ketamine.
They should have, that's my hot take, is they should have given Bella ketamine.
Wow, I'm so glad that we know this now. As your reward, do you want to tell us now about what medical trends on the internet are most annoying to you, and why is it coffee enemas, and also what's a coffee enema?
How is that a reward?
It's actually not coffee enemas. The thing I hate the most is, well, okay, the thing I like the most is taint tanning. My husband looks like he's gonna, like, jump out the first story window to divorce me every time I say taint tanning around him.
Good.
Don't do that. That's how you get melanoma on your grundle.
That does not sound fun.
No. Coffee enemas are bad.
Sounds like it.
Well, okay, so you know what boofing is, right?
I mean, you should just tell us for the podcast. Just explain things.
Jesus Christ. So, okay, human beings like to put things in their buttholes.
Great start.
And
tell us more.
There are a lot of purposes to putting things in their buttholes.
Okay. I'm so glad we're rated R right now. So glad.
I feel like I'm getting the talk.
Anyways, so people like to do enemas.
So why not coffee?
So because the rectum, so back to boofing. Boofing is when you put drugs in your butt to get high faster.
Okay.
And the reason this works is that your butthole has, and by butthole I mean rectum, there's like 2 different circulations. There's a circulation in your belly that goes to your liver, where all the food blood goes. And then there's the rest of it that just goes, like, directly back to your heart, bypasses the liver. And there's a split in your rectum, like, at kind of it's called the dentate line. It's, like, up in your rectum, where everything above that goes to the liver and everything below that goes, like, directly to the heart. The liver metabolizes drugs. So it's like first pass metabolism is what we talk about. But you bypass the liver when you, like, inhale drugs, when you snort them, when you put them, like, sometimes we'll give people medication that, like, goes under their tongue or whatever to work really, really fast. Well, it also works in the butt.
Oh, so this is why if you do coffee, then it's like, that's also like caffeine.
You can give yourself caffeine poisoning. Yeah.
Got it.
Alcohol also can do that.
I feel like butt chugging was a thing.
Butt chugging was a thing. I've heard of that.
Butt chugging can kill you.
Don't butt chug, everyone.
That's medical advice. Don't butt chug. The whole, like, tampon soaked in vodka thing is bullshit. Like, nobody does that because it doesn't work, because the tampons, like, they are meant to absorb the thing, not let it out. That's stupid. But the butt chugging will kill you.
Yeah, I'm scarred for life. Speaking of, like, tampon discourse, but from, like middle school softball, there were, like, multiple girls I knew that got toxic shock because they didn't change their tampon for, like, the entire tournament. Like, a day-long thing. And to this day, I'm like, I don't know, like, if I wear a tampon, I'm like, it's, like, whatever, like, I am not keeping it in any longer than is recommended on the box. I'm terrified of getting toxic shock, like, 15 years later.
Just to quell our hypochondriac listeners, toxic shock is extremely rare. Follow the directions and ask your doctor if you have any concerns. And don't forget your tampons in there. Like, it's fine. We will fish them out for you. They cannot get lost.
There's nowhere for it to go.
There is nowhere. This is a legitimate question I get asked sometimes, is like, can stuff really get lost up there? And, like, it can be your own reach. Like, if you have short fingers and a long vagina, it's very possible for something to get, like...
Such a fucking funny statement.
What?
No, if you have short fingers and a long vagina, I don't know, that's just really funny to me. Anyway, go on.
Like, some people have longer vaginas.
Isabel, be mature here.
Why are you being so mean to me on this episode? Oh my god.
Anyways, you can get stuff stuck, like, between your cervix and the back part of your vagina. Like, that can happen, and you just need help getting it out. But, like, it won't get lost in there. So, just to quell that general fear. Anyways, coffee enemas do kill people. Not necessarily from caffeine absorption, although I think you can, like, totally die from caffeine overdose via the butt. It's more that the coffee can cause colitis, so like inflammation of the colon. And also there are apparently quite a few cases of where coffee is causing or associated with like severe bacterial infections in the bloodstream, like sepsis from the coffee enema. And there's this thing called the Gerson therapy, which is a bunch of bullshit, literally.
Okay. Sorry, what?
So there was this guy in the 30s who was like, coffee enemas, they're a cure-all. And to quote Sawbones, another wonderful podcast with a family doctor who is great. We love family medicine. We stand family medicine. Cure-alls cure nothing. And he basically said that coffee was an antioxidant, so you should put it in your butt and it will fix your tuberculosis and your cancer and your diabetes.
Sounds wrong.
It is. But people still do it because, I don't even know. They don't want to take their metformin. Take your metformin. If you're prescribed metformin, take your metformin. Take your medications as prescribed by your doctor. That's medical advice.
Can we do like a rapid fire? Like, I have a couple more questions that I'm dying to know the answer to.
Yeah.
I think
shoot.
Most of these come from Caro. So,
okay.
What is something that you know to be true but is not empirically proven, i.e. honey for sore throat?
Honey, not just for sore throat, but honey for cough. Honey is better head-to-head than any prescription cough suppressant pretty much on the market, or any over-the-counter thing on the market, and safer. You can get very, very ill from overdosing on things like dextromethorphan, and codeine, while it will suppress your cough, is actually not as good as honey. So I tell all of my patients who have upper respiratory infections to drink honey in their tea or take a spoonful of honey. This is medical advice. Do not give honey to your child under the age of 1 because they can get botulism, and botulism is bad.
Wow. Okay. Doctor influencers, yay, nay, or nuance?
Nuanced.
Okay.
Complicated. Real complicated.
That could be a whole other episode.
Would you consider yourself a doctor influencer now that you've been on our podcast twice? And for no other reason.
Absolutely not.
Is Dr. Oz the proto doctor influencer?
What he is a fucking menace.
Yeah, I genuinely... Okay, when we're recording this, they still haven't announced who won the Republican primary for the open Senate seat in Pennsylvania, and I'm like, I don't know who I even want to win, as in, like, who would be a more beatable opponent, because, like, Dr. Oz doesn't have political experience, but he's a name brand guy or whatever, which we learned the hard way with Trump is something people vote for. But the other guy is like a hedge fund manager or some shit who like worked for the Trump administration. I don't know.
Ew,
so
they're both evil.
Yeah, they're both evil. Dr. Oz is especially evil because he created the war on fat people. Also, I ghosted him one time, which we talked about on like episode, I'm gonna guess like 8 of the
Does
podcast.
that make him more or less evil?
Because you got your revenge.
I did get my revenge, but if he is representing me in the Senate, I will be so upset. Also, John Fetterman, who won the Democratic primary for that Senate seat, I am friends with his dog on Twitter.
I was gonna say, he's the guy with the good dog.
He's a good dog, yeah.
Yeah, Levi Fetterman and I were BFFs. Next question, how would you treat a goose bite?
So I did some research into this, and as a Chicagoan, I am very familiar with just like goose violence. So geese, I was disabused of this notion today. Geese do not actually have teeth. So it looks like they have teeth, and it looks like they have like teeth on their tongues, but they're actually something called tomia or tomia, I guess. I don't really know. And they're like cartilaginous things that help them like smush up whatever they're eating. So it's not really teeth.
But like, so first of all, you're not allowed to talk about teeth. We talked about this. Second of all,
oh yeah,
correct.
If they look that much like teeth and they work in a similar fashion, aka like
they're
chomp,
soft.
They're soft. Okay, there we go. You can talk about them.
They're cartilaginous. They're like ears.
Mm-hmm.
Like that
I
kind of
love
texture,
the word
I think.
cartilaginous. Amazing.
Yes.
That sounds like something Elon Musk and Grimes would name their child. Anyway, moving on.
Oh, Jesus. Also, fun fact about geese. The female goose makes a call called a hrink, and the male goose makes a call called a honk.
Okay.
That's amazing.
So geese tend not to bite. They are not very good at biting, and I couldn't really find any recorded cases of someone actually like getting skin broken by a goose. Just because like they'll whack you is what they'll do. They'll get you with their very large, very powerful wings.
So how would you treat a goose whack?
Well, so a goose whack is more likely to just be like maybe some
bruise.
like I could see them breaking ribs. You know, they're really strong.
See, I was feeling really reassured by the fact that there was no recorded case of a goose bite, like, breaking skin, but now I'm not reassured anymore. Now I'm concerned.
No, you shouldn't be. So
Bad
they can,
luck
like,
for Caro.
yeah, they can, like, break bones. But if they bit, I would be mostly concerned about, like, the usual bird stuff, like Chlamydophila, Psittaci, and E. coli and Salmonella and shit. So I would probably give antibiotics if the bird managed to actually, like, break the skin, because I would assume that there was goose poop on there. I would treat it like that.
Nice.
But if you get bit by a goose, please go see your doctor. This is not medical advice, except for the part where I say you should go see your doctor, which is medical advice.
Last question. So you're writing a book for, like, kids, teens about gross medical stuff. How's that going?
I went down a particular rabbit hole about organ transplants because it turns out that we have done some extremely, not even ill-advised, just like, what the fuck were you thinking kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, transplant physiology and, like, how far we've come from the 1950s. It's just it's a beautiful symphony of surgery, of immunology, of molecular biology, and of altruism that enables us to do things like transplant a whole bundle of organs, or keep a pair of lungs alive longer than we could, or keep somebody on a heart-lung machine until they can get a transplant. Stuff like that is just incredible. So I'm currently working on that, the weird and gross and absolutely wonderful history of transplants. There's also a part where a guy puts goat testicles in another guy's body and then does that 15,000 more times until he gets arrested and sent to Mexico.
What? I have a lot of questions now. That feels like a good place to leave it.
When my book is a thing, I'll come back on the podcast and tell you all about transplants.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. If you liked this episode, tell a friend. Word of mouth is how we grow. Thank you to all of our patrons, and shout out specifically to Zoe, Bray, Andre, Thea, Brian, and Gabriel. If you want your name in the above or in our Twitter header, slide right into our Patreon at patreon.com/wowoftrue. Shout out to Allison Mills, our beloved audio editor, and to the graphic designer and Canva warlock Eric Silver, who made our logo, and Sam Rizer, who made our podcast music. You can find us on Twitter as @wowofTruePod and Instagram and Facebook as @wowoftrue. Had your 15 seconds of internet fame, slide right into our Twitter DMs and tell us about it. Until next time, let's get weird on the internet.